Hello Brigadiers and Brigadettes, this is your captain speaking. Welcome to my channel, now let's jump into some hockey content. Well, how about that? We'll get the matchup of the oldest NHL team in the Montreal Canadiens against the youngest NHL team, that being the Vegas Golden Knights. And it's right, in a normal year we really wouldn't get this matchup until the Stanley Cup Finals, but because of COVID we got an odd matchup. Before we dive into this, please make sure to like and subscribe. You guys have been amazing, the growth has been amazing, thank you. So let's take a look at how these two teams got here. For Montreal, they came back from a 3-1 series deficit against the North Division Toronto Maple Leafs, then completed a surprising sweep against the Winnipeg Jets. Now for Vegas, they avoided a potential meltdown by winning Game 7 against Minnesota. They had a 3-1 series lead. Minnesota won Games 5 and 6. But again, Vegas was able to stay alive by winning that game. Then in the second round, the two best teams by points, that is, were playing each other in the second round, that being the Colorado Avalanche and the Vegas Golden Knights. And wouldn't you know it, Vegas was down 0-2 but won 4 straight against Colorado to advance to the third round for the third time in 4 years. Now, make no mistake, this is a massive series for both teams. Montreal has not advanced to the Stanley Cup Finals since 1993. Meanwhile, Vegas has had this team for 4 years. This will be the 4th year, and they haven't returned to the Stanley Cup Finals since that infamous first year. But especially the past 2 years, it's kind of been disappointing in the playoffs. They had that meltdown against the Sharks, which is very controversial, and then they had the playoff disappointment against the Dallas Stars. So what are the storylines we should focus on here? The big one, I think, could be how will the Canadiens fare against Mark Stone. What the Canadiens have done so far is impressive, don't get me wrong, but Vegas is a better team than Toronto, and they're definitely a much better team. Their heads and their shoulders above Winnipeg. And part of that is what Mark Stone does on the ice. Let me scroll down here. In the playoffs with Stone, the Vegas Golden Knights have outscored teams 14-10. While that might not seem crazy, a big thing to take away from Stone's time on the ice is how well they did against Nathan MacKinnon's line. We all know that MacKinnon and the Avalanche can score plenty of goals, but with Stone out on the ice, the Golden Knights actually outchanced and outscored Colorado, and that in itself is worth bragging rights. You obviously have to worry about a few players for Montreal, especially that being Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield, posting great playoff numbers, and they are really fun to watch. They've got great chemistry too, though, as only Tyler Toffoli has played more time in the playoffs with Nick Suzuki than Cole Caulfield. Now, these players are certainly skilled, but with all due respect, they do not pair up with the MacKinnon line, and Stone is on the ice. Expect things to probably be a little bit more tough sledding for the Habs. And I love these young players from Montreal, but this will be the toughest test they face, so we'll have to see how it goes. Now, the second narrative will be the goalies. These goalies are both first all-time in franchise wins, Vegas having Marc-Andre Fleury, and then Carey Price doing it for Montreal, which feels like it's a bigger deal for Carey Price because of how historic that franchise is. But we're also looking at a goalie that's third all-time in wins in the NHL, that being Marc-Andre Fleury, and then a goalie that's 21st all-time in the NHL, that being Carey Price. Now, theoretically, we could be looking at a matchup of all-time greats, and let's hope that it is. While Carey Price is known for his playoff mode, Marc-Andre Fleury is known for some playoff blunders, I guess we should say, and I just really want both to have a good series. In a weird way, though, we may not see a ton of Fleury in the series. We know that Vegas Golden Knights, head coach Peter DeBoer loves to put out the hot goalie, so theoretically we could be seeing a lot of Robin Lehner in this round. Still, though, assuming we get the last goal in the Avs-Knights series, that was Marc-Andre Fleury, so we could be getting a look at that. And we could be looking at a series that could be great for both tendies. For Price, losing this series really wouldn't do much for his legacy, to hurt it that is, but winning this would make his fan base, his hockey fan base, cult-like worship even more extreme because of how much they love Carey Price. Now, for Fleury, losing this series would be another big thing people could use to attack Flowers' legacy, due to some inconsistencies in his career. Winning this would be huge from an outside series perspective, though, because that would mean that Vegas, in the 4 years he's been there, has went to the Stanley Cup Finals twice as an expansion team. At the end of the series, we'll know who posted better stats, but if I have to be honest with you and say who I think a better goalie is based off what he has to work with, I gotta say Carey Price. He has been great in the playoffs. What I will say, though, is Montreal has given him a lighter workload than I thought they would. And finally, something we're certainly going to have to talk about in this series is the narrative of rest versus rust. I'm not usually a guy that buys into the rest versus rust narrative, but the Vegas Golden Knights have played 13 games in 25 days, that is, and 3 days of rest will be allowed for them before they kick off the series in Vegas, while the Canadiens have played 11 games in 18 days, but will have 6 days of rest before they head into Sin City. Now, I'm not usually one, that would say this is going to be massive, this is going to be huge, but this actually could be huge for the Canadiens. Carey Price is a little over 2 months away from being 34, and he has had a heavy workload in his career, so I would expect this to be good for him to heal up and get ready for the situation in net for the Habs. Now, Vegas is a great team too, but they've had a lot of deep runs, had a lot of fatigue. This has been a shortened season with a lot of games in there, so this could be really tough for them. The perk, though, for them is that they have a really deep team that can even out minutes, and they can get rolling at the right time, and they are rolling right now. But if Montreal does win this series, I expect the narrative to be that rest versus rust narrative that we see a lot of times. So, for the series of the Montreal Canadiens versus the Vegas Golden Knights, I will be picking the Vegas Golden Knights in 6. For me, it is the experience Vegas has, plus the fact that they're just overall a deeper team. I was going to say Vegas in 5 games, but the most Montreal thing that I could see happening is them winning game 1, then Vegas winning games 2, 3, and 4, then Montreal going back into Vegas, winning there to force a game 6 with the fine, the buzzing, and all that stuff going around about a potential game 7 while everybody's excited for game 6, and then, that's how it would end. Now, I do want the Canadiens to win this, for a few reasons. One being Vegas themselves have been kind of annoying on Twitter. Some, not all of their fans, I have met some really good fans, have been really arrogant lately. Some of the fans have, and that's going to have to dial down. Now, another reason is my best friend is a Habs fan, and ever since we were kids, he's been a Habs fan, so we've talked about the Canadiens a lot as kids growing up, so it'd be really cool for him to win this and then just, to talk about that. And me being a Canucks fan, I hope one day to become a Canadian citizen. We'll see how that goes. But I think it'd be a huge deal for the nation just because the Canadian team hasn't been in the Stanley Cup Finals since 2011 when the Vancouver Canucks took on the Boston Bruins and lost in 7 games, so that stinks. But what do you think of this series? Who will win and in how many games? Let me know down in the comments below. And then please, again, make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for your support. It's been amazing. And this was actually the second take I had to do because for some reason it's not recording. Kind of stinks because the first take was amazing, but you'll just have to take my word on it. But anyway, everybody stay safe, have a great day, and stay away from COVID, alright? Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.